20th of July 2023. It's Thursday, and it's actually the final show for 2 weeks because Ash and I are having our mid-year break, which is a 2-week break. That's what we do each and every year, and it gives us a little bit of a refresher and get away for a few days and get trading out of our heads and shake it off and come back nice and fresh. That's exactly what we plan to do. And as I say, this will be the last show for 2 weeks, resuming on Monday, the 7th of August, which makes the horse's birthday 6 days prior to that. Useless information, right? Actually, I've got a good one later that I'll drop on you, some useless information. And it's all to do with dumb people. I'm sure you're interested in that, right? Speaking about dumb, I'll give you a dumb trade. Why can't I see that? There we go. Hopefully you've got the right screen at this point in time. I'll just double check that we are going out to the socials before I get stuck in. Okay, that all seems to be good. Happy days. Righto, gold chart. On the 1 hour, those of you who are here for the first time, I'm not sure if there's anyone here for the first time, but if you are, thank you for joining Trading Buddies and for being our trading buddy for the day. Hopefully you'll find something useful out of that and feel free to contribute. It's all about sharing knowledge and sharing our screens, sharing our trade ideas, and maybe even analysing a few of them. So don't be afraid to speak up. You can do that anytime you like in the chat box. You can come on and we'll hear you. You can be heard and seen, whatever you choose. Don't be shy. Righto, as I was saying, those of you here for the first time, it's gold versus the US dollar where we start our day. On the 1 hour chart, we're attempting to find the breakout level of Asia session. Asia session begins on the second 1 hour bar of the day, and we look for the low since then. There's been no low lower than the opening bar, so that will be the low that we're looking for, and this will be the high that we're looking for. It's all contained within open of Asia session and open of London session. So we're looking for a breakout there, just like this. That's exactly what we want to see. Not so much good for the rest of the week. I'll go through those in a little bit after we set these trades up. So what we're doing at the moment is placing an order above the high of the range and an order below the low of the range, which is in a shocking place today because the daily pivot is just underneath it. Would not like to be taken in short, but we'll see. That's it, basically. And then we look to take profit at one of our pivot levels. In this case, it looks like DS1 and DR1 will be our profit takes. I don't know that the DR1's got a great reward to risk. So there's your risk. It's going to be $10. The reward's going to be $4, maybe even $5. Not something I'm really happy with. And on the other side, if we use DS1, you're going to get the same result. So a risk of $10 for a gain of maybe $6. I actually don't think that's worth taking. So I'm not going to trade it today. We can have a thoughty though. You can imagine that you've taken the trade if you want and see exactly how that would have panned out. For my money, I think this is probably a trap to either side, and I don't know which side that's going to be, but I'm not prepared to take a 1 to half risk on either direction. So if it breaks out and goes, it goes. Simple as that. All right, so we're scratching that for the day. Let's have a look at the week and how that went trading-wise for gold versus the US dollar. On Monday, we decided not to take the trade, and I think that was a pretty decent idea. You would have been taken in. Where's the 9 o'clock bar? That's the 1 o'clock bar. There's the 9 o'clock bar there. So the low of the range would have been here, and the high of the range would have been here. You would have been taken in long, and unless you took profit very, very early, you would have been smashed out. So it was a good idea not to take that trade, similar to what we're doing today. Had you been around on Tuesday, as I was not, because I was in the air part of the day and doing other things in other places, the low would have been here. The high would have been there. So you would have been entered long almost instantly, and kaboom. That's exactly what we're looking for, those sorts of breakouts. Yesterday would have been SH1T by the look of that. I don't think you could have made money out of that either way. So that would have been a good one not to take again. And today I'm not going to take it as well either. So 1 out of 1, I suppose, had you decided to take that one and not the others, as I suggest. Oh, no, you would have got a loss here if you'd taken that one. So loser winner, chicken dinner. Righto, let's get stuck in and see. Well, really, there's been nothing on my radar this week because I haven't been in the front of the charts. But one thing that did stand out to me when I got back yesterday afternoon was that I had been taken out of the dollar versus the CAD trade, much to my displeasure, because I felt this had some distance to run, and it may still well do that. Because we broke this level here, came back and retested it. As you know, we traded this bar here and got 2 lots of profit. Well, actually 3 lots of profit. One here, second one here, and by trailing the stop, sadly, trailing the stop to this level here. As you can see, that news candle there on Tuesday, when I was gleefully thinking that maybe we would be back down here. That news candle came back and took trailing stop. So really, really, really disappointed in that, because I think this had, as I say, had a long way to go. But 3 lots of profit, I suppose you can't whinge too much about it. And we'll just accept the consequences. I'm gutted that it's still going south, however. Anyway, can't cry over spilt milk. There's nothing, I can't trade it now. It's too late to get into that move. Maybe with another retracement, we might see some action to the downside, or a tradable situation to the downside. But right now, we've got a double bottom sitting here and maybe a higher low in progress. So anyway, that was the only trade I left in the market, I believe. And sadly, as I say, the trailing stop has been hit. Today, I've got to say I'm not that interested. And the reason for that is not because of the market so much, but because I've got kind of utopia or Valhalla on television this afternoon or this evening. I've got Australia versus England Test cricket. I've got Australia versus Ireland Women's Football World Cup. And I've got the British Open golf. My God, they're all on at the same time. So I've had to go out this morning and buy 3 big screen televisions so I can put them all on. No, I haven't. I didn't do that. But I'll be absolutely channel surfing this evening. I might have 2 TVs on at the same time. We'll see. And the laptop going on the others. And my phone's got another one. Anyway, yeah, it's like utopia for me. So to be absolutely honest with you, my chances of trading this evening are Buckley's and SFA, or nil. You can read into SFA whatever you want. Sweet Fanny Adams or sweet something else that I can't say on YouTube. Hello, buddy. How are you, mate?
Oh, very good. Yeah, very good. I was going to ask you
show
about that
for the semester.
Yeah. Difficult. Well, actually, there's one thing that I could maybe bring forward. Let me show you what we got. Hi, Paul.
Hey, Paul. Pete.
Oh, we got
Hey,
it from
Lewis.
we got everyone's back on now. That's great. That's good. Okay, so I'm in this pound yen short at the minute. Stops are pretty high, and I'm aiming for quite a lot of downside here, but stops don't need to be up there. It was just as I was just making sure that I didn't kind of get any weird spreads kind of going on overnight, which is a little bit kind of a bit too keen. But it's not necessary for them to be up there. It needs to break this this monthly pivot. Now, if it does, I still think that there's something, for some downside because of this head and shoulders pattern that we've got going on here. So that breaks down. That would suggest that any kind of break and retest would potentially kind of get us down to this area. So about the WS2 would be the first target, I think, on this, which I'd be okay with if that's kind of where it comes. I didn't realize how horrible the swaps were going to be on this one. So if it does come down there today, I might well take profit and not let this one drift, because it's not quite as clear cut as just trading this in a direction and making some money, because say the swaps are horrible. So if this does come back at you, then you lose twice, which is not great. So there's a few things that kind of come to my attention because of this. Firstly, I just want to bring up the Kiwi dollar as a potential trade of the day. Long it would be. And
bad news in New Zealand today too. Terrible.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, that might put us out of it. And
not economic. Not economic.
Oh, okay.
They had a massive. Well, two people died as a result of a shooter. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, I don't know whether that obviously shouldn't affect the trade too much.
It shouldn't. No.
Let's have a look at it anyway and see what we got. Now, where's my Kiwi dollar is? So Kiwi dollar long would be the call here. And if we look at this down here, this is the break of the area right down there, and we basically come and tested that area. So I was saying really overnight that the thing about the Kiwi dollar long, and you can see that there's this potential for an inverted head and shoulder. So it might take a little while longer to establish itself, and it may not be viable, by the time it does establish itself, but it could be. So this one took, we got it there. So there's the left shoulder there. There's the head down there, and this would obviously sort of like start to form the right shoulder. But the price is already pretty good, and I would suspect if you were going to trade this, that the stops would probably be along this trend line here. So they might have to come under the daily pivot. So let's see if there's enough room there. Probably about 20. Yeah, so 1-to-1. I mean, little bit of a problem because we are trading the news really, if we sort of take this trade now, because we got economic data from the United States later, and that's going to be quite key because we've already sort of started to see that in the states that CPI has started to drift in the right direction to suggest the Fed action is probably coming to an end, is probably starting to limit down. If the jobs data kicks up, if unemployment data kicks up and there are more jobless claims, which is the kind of metric for today. If the jobless claims kick up today, then I suspect that we're going to see some downside with the dollar, and that would probably boost this particular currency pair. And the reason that this currency pair is probably the one that I would plump for is because the price action is obviously quite attractive looking at the inverted head and shoulders. But seasonally, the dollar doesn't tend to do that well against the Kiwi, but it's only for the week. Now, if we look at that particular scenario, then what we can see here is a weekly bar, which is currently red. So the chances that we get back up to there aren't necessarily high or low. It's just that the seasonal bias suggests that it will at least attempt to get up there. Now, it will be down to the economic data. So it's really down to whether people like the 1-to-1 or not. But you can see, on the weekly, we've got this higher high, breaking out of this zone here. We've come back and retested these areas here. There's another sort of a piece of the evidence of where the level is. It might be that it needs to rest down here before it does go up. Now that would negate the trade to a degree because, as I say, it's this week really that the Kiwi dollar does tend to show some bullish price action. So that one is an option. The pound yen, we'll see what happens with. As I say, not as keen on the pound yen anymore. Now,
what about Aussie dollar, mate? And I know the chart's nowhere near as good as Kiwi dollar, but Aussie employment today was another great number. So the economy's ticking along beautifully for the Aussie.
Yeah.
Gold rallied. Aussie tends to track gold, a little bit delayed. So if you're negative the dollar, I would have thought Aussie dollars may be okay as well.
Yeah, you know what? Economically, I'd completely agree with you, but you really hit it on the head, mate. The chart is just it's just not very attractive.
Yeah, the chart's not good.
You know, we're hitting right the way through resistance, so it would have to pop really and come back. So this one, you're waiting for the news before you trade it. I think the Kiwi dollar, you're probably trading before the news and seeing if it kind of helps you out. So that's the only thing about that. But yeah, I mean, you know, as you say, you know, gold is really starting to pick up some steam now. Doing very, very well. I suspect we probably, again, you know, I'd be looking for an inverted head and shoulders on this one if I was going to comfortably trade it. So coming back into these areas here would be of interest, and gold is about to also hit a seasonal long. So one more dip down would be of interest to me with gold at these stages. Again, you know, not very attractive. We're right on top of resistance. There's probably a horizontal line that is a little bit scruffy, but you can see some daylight as well amongst that, and we're not that far away. We're maybe about $10 away from that particular zone, and it might even be a bit lower. You know, it might even be here. So we're in the kind of sell zone with the with gold, which doesn't make it very attractive. So really, the Aussie, the Kiwi dollar is coming up with a chart pattern, or at least a price point, which is a bit more interesting to me. The Nasdaq has started to show some signs of coming back as well. So if we look at the Nasdaq, let's bring it up on the chart that you guys look at. Where is it? Here. You guys will be looking at this one, the US tech, I suspect, because that's the NASDAQ futures. But the NASDAQs are also of interest. And this one also looks like it could be, you know, on its way down. A little bit of a sticky point where you would try and get in on this. But Tesla reported yesterday. And even though they beat earnings, there's a little buy zone here. So maybe pushing back to the daily pivot. But you know, given the news from Tesla yesterday, we had a beat on expectations from both Tesla and Netflix, but the margins are where Tesla start to come off a little bit. Now they're building this electronic truck. They're doing this electric truck facility. Yeah. And that is going to affect the margins. And then when you kind of think about that in the context of something like Microsoft, which is going to be reporting on the 27th, they are just about to go into a deal with Activision and purchase Activision. So their margins are probably going to be affected as well. So I wonder whether we might see a little bit of a drift down to the downside with the NASDAQ on margins. Now, it's not particularly attractive to trade the NASDAQ lower because it's been so strong. But what I would say is that this may well flag up an opportunity to get in on the long side if we come down a little bit. So you could attempt to trade it short. And I've got both longs and shorts in this one just to sort of see if I can play both sides of it. But there is probably a more attractive trade if you allow this one to come and fall. But that one looks like it could be coming down. The fact that it's coming down on earnings beating is a little bit more dangerous. But you know, the Nasdaq's had an amazing run to the upside. If this
give me a lower high there would be good.
Yeah, this weekly bar is the key, because that weekly bar closes in negative territory, or at least down the lower end of it. When you look across to what you know, the point that would happen, if it crosses this level and closes in the lower third, that's also going to be right on top of this resistance, and that would suggest some downside with the Nasdaq. So the Nasdaq's one to watch for some lower prices. You
mentioned Netflix. Talk to me about Netflix. Have you got a Netflix chart?
No, I could probably get one.
Doesn't matter. Really, I just want an opinion on it. I can't see how Netflix rallies at the moment. given
So
the competition, number one,
yeah,
the state of the economy. Well, I can't say the state of the economy. The pressure that the interest rates are having on household expenditure. Number two. So to me, Netflix at a decent price has got to be a sell. Tell me why not.
Well, okay, so I think they all are really. They're all probably a bit of a sell when it comes down to stuff with the Nasdaq. If you really want to kind of try and take things on board with the Nasdaq companies, this is month over month, and right on top of resistance again. You know, Netflix has had an amazing move to the upside, so it does look like Netflix is probably a short. The thing with Netflix, there's the dailies there. So the thing with Netflix is, and look at the volume there yesterday. So there was a lot of trading volume yesterday, and yet it didn't really take off. You know, it hasn't really done a whole bunch. But earnings were reported after the bell, so we might well see Netflix go in either direction. So what's happened to Netflix is that they really cracked down on dual subscription. So people using other people's
piracy, yes.
Yeah, they really cracked down on that, and that really helped their top line. Now, also they started to ramp up the advertising with Netflix as well. So they've made some really good gains off the back of those two things just on their own. I think the danger with Netflix is the strike that's going on in the States.
Yeah,
that
was number three. Yes, yeah. Indeed.
So the strike is probably going to affect all of them. But what they will probably have, as long as they can kind of keep their subscribers watching the current content, depending on how long the strike goes on, what they have is decent cash flows. So and that will improve their cash flow. You know, as I say, as long as they keep their subscribers and everything still goes up, they're not paying for content, so they can kind of build their cash flow pile. So Netflix actually is in pretty good shape. My only question with Netflix is, after the effects of as you say, kind of stopping the piracy and the advertising revenue, which is probably going to continue, I suppose, but certainly the piracy aspect, after that has eventually filtered through.
The honeymoon's over.
Yeah, maybe that be kind of it for Netflix. So so yeah, Netflix is interesting, and I think there's quite a lot of these. You know, Tesla is obviously the other one that people started to sell off after the bell, and this one is also looking relatively attractive for a sell as well when you kind of bring it onto the longer term time frames.
He just got some of my money, man. First time.
You bought some Tesla?
No, I bought some Starlink.
Oh, okay.
Infrastructure.
not
the product that's, or not the ticker.
Yeah.
I bought his satellite.
Oh, okay.
Stuff. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, this is look at the chart, mate. This is the weekly. Look where we are. So really interesting chart on Tesla. You know, and coming back down maybe to sort of like around about the 219 area. I think that's definitely viable. That could come to fruition. So I think quite a few of these
candle forming too. Yeah.
Yeah. If we look at Microsoft as well, because Microsoft, as I say, is going to be reporting on the 27th, and Microsoft has hit all-time highs a few days ago, and it looks like it's going to attempt anyway to come back into this area. You know, I'm not sure whether it's going to go down, but look at that, month over month.
Yeah,
1,
that's amazing.
2, 3, and you know, don't even have to. One of the things I love about TradingView is this measurement tool. But let's have a look at the start of the year. So this is the start of the year. There's the open of the bar. This is a blue chip company, and it's currently up 46% on the year. I mean, it's just a crazy story, really. What's happened to quite a few of these big blue chip companies, and this is the stuff
AI?
that's been.
Is this AI reflection.
Yeah, AI will be part of it for sure. They have brought out a product which is introducing AI, which I think is another $30 a month for corporates or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but they are talking about charging corporates quite a bit more money. So they've got more products coming out. Still a big story. AI definitely made a huge difference. I mean, if you want to kind of think about the AI story, it's really all about NVIDIA, because NVIDIA is completely different. I mean, you look at this chart and you kind of read one thing, but if we go back to the start of the year, this is the opening bar of the year, and this one is up 200%.
You'd be smiling at that. You still got some of that?
No, I haven't, mate. No, and do you know what? I was looking at NVIDIA back in 2019, I think it was.
I know you were.
Yeah. So no, I haven't got any of this anymore, and obviously now I wish I did, because these guys, what I liked about them in 2019 was the story to do with cryptocurrencies, because you need these chips to kind of like power these systems. But I had no idea that we were going to get the AI situation. But NVIDIA is well and truly on its way, and thoroughly overbought. So I can't see how it's going to survive up here, mainly because yes, AI might continue to develop, which is absolutely fine, but there will be regulation on AI at some point. The regulators have been a bit slow on crypto, so they may show the same sluggish behavior on AI. I don't know, but there will be some kind of kickback when it comes down to what's going on with the AI situation. So I could see NVIDIA eventually, starting to drop, and probably will be a buying opportunity. Tech seems to be the story of the hour. But the only thing with it is that we are kind of like looking at this, and that's probably getting a bit close to that area as well. That's about all we've got, but not far away. Somewhere around about the $500 mark, and I'd be looking. It's currently at 470. So maybe another 8% or so to the upside, and then we start to drift to the downside on NVIDIA. But that's pretty much the only level that I could come up with. Maybe a little bit.
Payphone,
I don't know.
X. Is that you, Catherine? Still has some NVIDIA. Excellent.
Yeah, that's
definitely
really
a long-term winner. Yep, excellent.
So yeah, NVIDIA is very, very good. Now, the other thing I wanted to discuss, mate, is that we are now seeing, when we kind of look at these charts, we are now seeing the potential for these to turn. Now, that would be the Nasdaq. But what I'm really interested in is the Swissy. Now, the reason I'm really interested in the Swissy, and it really brought it to my attention when I looked at the swaps that they were charging me to hold the pound versus the yen, and I thought, actually, there's a lot of free money out there if you can stick with the correct interest differential. Now, this is what's been really going on. This is the Kiwi Swissy. This is what's been going on with the Swissy for the last 2 years. This is February 2021, and the Kiwi Swissy has just been going down. Now, that makes the Swissy a selling opportunity, against just about anything. If you look at the charts, this is against the dollar. Let's get it on a monthly so we can see a bit more detail.
I've been trying.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is just crashed to the downside. So where you pick it up, that's the dollar Swissy. This is the Aussie Swissy, again, right in a buy zone down here. This is the CAD Swissy in a buy zone down here. Well, I mean, I don't know if you call it a buy zone anymore, but certainly very, very low. Actually, you could call it a buy zone, because I've just seen this level down here. There's the line there. So there's a buy zone down here. So all of these are suggesting that if there is a trade, this is the Swissy Sing. So it really is the currency of the moment. No point in looking at it against the yen, because you're not going to get positive swaps. But against everything else, you're going to get positive swaps. And this is where the Swissy currently sits. Now, there is very little chance from any experience in currency trading that this either continues to the downside or stays down here for too long. But even if it does, and you are able to have a position and hold on to it, and it not batter your account, I can see the Swissy as this is a great longer term currency to hold and currency to sell. The big question, of course, is what is going to drive it in the opposite direction. Now, if the industrial production numbers from the United States and the yield curve inversion from the United States, all kind of signaling recession. If recession kicks in, the Swiss is going to be a very, very difficult currency to go against.
It will be, yeah.
But when things kind of go in the opposite direction, maybe it could be sort of something that could be picked up, because inflation has been dipping really globally. You know, even the United Kingdom, which is the reason I took the pound short against the Kiwi, against the yen. Sorry, even against the United Kingdom, even in the United Kingdom, we're starting to see inflation drop, and it was a decent drop the other day, not significant enough to make a splash when it comes down to huge costs, but it was a decent drop, 8.7, I think, to 7.9. So we're under the 8% level, and it was expected at 8.3. So that's a decent drop. The United States down below or in and around the 3% level, not too far away from their 2% target. Switzerland itself under 2%. So, you know, the inflation narrative appears to be easing at this current time. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to stay there, but it is currently easing. So I wonder whether there might be an opportunity, you know, to kind of like get into a trade with something like this and hold on to it. Now, you're going to need to see some decent price action which suggests a hold, and it just hasn't happened. You know, it's come down and it's come down, it's come down.
I know,
but
I've been watching and watching and watching.
Well,
and
if this does break, though, mate, if this does manage to get itself kind of moving to the upside, and maybe sort of like, you know, this is the Euro Swissy, but actually, what may well be better is something like the Aussie.
Yeah, I like the condols against it, frankly.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, if there is economic an economic boost globally, then you would expect the Aussie and possibly the CAD to do pretty well. So yeah, anything above the 61.50, maybe 61.60 or 61.80, something like that would be something that I think would be of interest. Right now, just no point. There's no point in seeing a chart like this go down, 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 and then try and switch onto a 4-hourly chart or even a daily.
Catching the falling knife, literally.
Yeah. So you would need it on the weekly, but as I say, you know, this one on a longer term time frame and something to hold on to, and you could literally trade this and hold on to it. You don't even need to invest in it, you know, which is what you need to do when you're buying something longer term. You could trade this and hold it longer term purely because of the positive swaps. So so you know, it wouldn't harm you at all. So this is the currency that I'm currently watching. I mean, the other ones, yeah, definitely kind of trading ideas, but this is the one that I think is of quite a lot of interest at this particular period. So a lot of work for it to do, and as I say, recession kind of kicks in. That will probably push people towards the yen, probably push people towards the Swissy. So it might not be yet, but at some point, this will become way too expensive for the Swiss National Bank, and they will do something, or there will be some sort of global growth, and then we can kind of think about this going in the opposite direction. So yeah, that's the things that I was just going to flag up.
One that I'm very keen on at the moment, but not against the dollar, is the euro, and I'll point out why in a bit. But firstly, Daryl's asked about silver. What are your thoughts on silver? Will it continue to rise or retrace? Is his question.
Well, I mean, you know, if we're looking at, I mean, I love this pattern, as you all know. It's a lovely inverted head and shoulders, and we're talking about a weekly time frame as well. So this suggests that there is some upside for silver. I tell you the thing about silver, and I'm in slight kind of conflicting views on it, because silver is not only a kind of precious metal, it's also an industrial metal. And given the global slowdown that we've seen, you know, from China, and the spillover will probably sort of take some sort of effect, silver doesn't become particularly attractive. However, if, as we did the other day, you look at this stuff against the dollar, this is what it is. You know, we're looking at really silver versus the dollar. You look at gold versus the dollar. Gold versus the dollar boost to the upside, but then you compare gold to the likes of the Aussie, and it's actually in a downtrend. You know, this is a weekly chart. This is a break to the downside, and you know, finding some resistance on the monthly. So that would suggest that gold comes down. So
Wow,
really,
I didn't see that before. Is that gold
yeah,
versus the Aussie?
yeah,
Wow.
that's gold versus the Aussie. Yeah,
You know
yeah.
why I like that?
Yes, I do know why you like that.
Yeah.
So you'd be looking at a lower below here or something.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, and that would be a decent place to try and get into that, because obviously you got the trend line as well. So if it breaks that down, that would suggest lower. But you know, you could go right across, right around the grounds. This is it against the Swissy, and this is against the pound. So really, against everything else, it hasn't performed particularly well. But against the dollar, it's performing relatively well, I suppose. You could say that is a lower low as well, and possibly hitting the lower high. Now, this means that when we look at silver, we need to consider what it's trading against. So because it's trading against the dollar, I actually think that, you know, the dollar is in a lot of trouble. The BRICS are talking about having a currency backed by gold, and there is genuine shift to move the dollar away from the global reserve currency. So when you kind of consider those kind of factors, that would suggest that both gold and silver have got some upside against the dollar. But I'm not sure whether I'd be saying that the commodity itself is particularly attractive, and that's because of the recession aspect of it. But you know, if you look at you know, on MT4, if you look at silver and where do I think it's going? I do think it's probably going back to the highs. But purely, really more because I think the dollar's going to weaken further, and the dollar could really hit some atrocious times, you know, in the coming months. And one of the reasons, really, I think the dollar's going to hit some negative times is that their reaction to the inflation narrative has been a lot quicker, you know, than most others. So other central banks have still got work to do, not the same work that they need to do in the United States. And there's even a chance that they start to reverse the position at some point in the next 12 months. So that would again boost silver to the upside. And then it would add to the kind of economic narrative that silver is used when there is times of growth. So as soon as they're sort of promoting that growth, and I think silver will do better. But you know, against the dollar, you could probably pick most things, and I think you do okay.
Yeah, look, my take on silver is unfortunately an unsavory one, and you'd be surprised to learn a not so popular one. In that they tend to manipulate the price of it, and you can see on that chart there's a lot of pump and dump going on there.
Yeah.
Every time it rallies hard, it comes down hard. So
yeah,
I would expect that to continue. Where it comes down, of course, is the very, very difficult thing to achieve. So to answer your question, who was it? I think it was Daryl. That's right. To answer your question, I'm not the best person to ask, because I'm going to say every time that it rallies hard, it's going to get sold off.
There's the buy zone though, mate. 24.30, somewhere around about there.
No argument technically. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is and I would be quite happy, Daryl, if I was interested in silver, I would be more than happy to take a position here if I got a buy signal, because it's through. You know, it looked like a false break. You know, and I suppose to a degree it was, but it wasn't able to push down. And now we're back through, and Jeff's right. It's a bit of a scruffy old area, this now. But considering what's going on, I think a buy signal here, you know, around about the 24, I guess somewhere between 24 and 25. 25 is a bit high. 24 and 25.50. 24 and 24.50. Somewhere in this zone. Now these are the futures. So let me bring up what you would see. This one. Yeah, same deal actually. 24 to 24.50. This whole area here is a buy zone, and I think it would be very, very attractive there. As I say, love this inverted head and shoulders. that would have been the place to try and pick it up really on the monthly, but not able to do it. And a seasonal long coming up, with these precious metals. So silver, as with gold, is very attractive right now on the kind of seasonal aspect. Yeah, look at that. I mean, that really, as soon as it burst through there, that was the buy area. If you're in this already, I wouldn't be getting rid of it. I'd be looking to probably add to it there. So love the chart. I think the chart looks really good.
Nice. Okay. As I say, my only opinion is one of the dark side rather than a technical on that chart. I think it's very difficult. Very difficult to pick the right time. And as you say, actually, if you're in it right now, happy days.
Yeah.
Don't have a problem.
Yeah. You're definitely staying in that one.
What else we got? Lewis was telling us, going back a bit, Lewis, sorry, mate. Netflix is too expensive. You're waiting for a correction. So you're still a bull on Netflix. Okay. Daryl was, how about silver? I think we're up to speed. And of course, Catherine was laughing and bragging that she's been accumulating NVIDIA since it was first encapsulated back in 1990 or whatever it was. No,
that's brilliant.
Only kids. No, I'm over exaggerating.
Yeah, I mean,
she's still in it. However,
it really is it's the stock. It's the stock of the moment. I mean, up 200% on in within a 6-month period. It's crazy. This is a stock. This is a blue chip stock as well. Now one of the biggest stocks in the Nasdaq. They really have done something extraordinary, NVIDIA. And yeah, I mean, I'm a bit sick about it because obviously I was in that a long time ago, but yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why I lost interest in that one. I can't even remember. It was that long ago, mate. I should really do what Warren Buffett does, shouldn't I? Just buy and leave it. Hodl, yeah. Hodl all the way through.
Yeah, well, I should have done that with dollar CAD too, and I didn't.
Yeah.
but when you win and complain, it's probably not a bad thing, is it?
Interesting as well, mate, that we're seeing the FTSE 100 actually take off to the upside. Because while we're sort of seeing the S&P and the Nasdaq flip positions, all of a sudden the FTSE is back in favor. And when you look at this, there was a little buy zone here, but a very difficult one to buy, to be fair, because we had some terrible data from China, which this is going to get affected more than most because of susceptibility to kind of global recession because of the stocks that are in the FTSE 100. But what a fantastic run it's had over the last couple of weeks. Now from 72 to 76. So we're looking at kind of a 5% move in the FTSE in a couple of weeks. Really big moves in the FTSE and still climbing today. So
off the support level now at resistance, right?
Yeah, which I love the FTSE as a hedge against the Nasdaq. I don't particularly like buying the FTSE against the Nasdaq. Right now, that's the way to go. But in actual fact, it will make the buy the Nasdaq, sell the FTSE a lot more attractive eventually. But I think as an index, it's nowhere near as good as the Nasdaq. But pushing maybe up to here. Maybe up to 78, 70, yeah, around about another 78, so another 3% higher on the FTSE. That to me looks achievable. But I do think it's going to roll over ultimately. I don't think the FTSE is going to all-time highs.
Okay, cool. I want to look at the Euro pairs.
Yeah, great.
So let me do that. Lewis looking at gold back to 195-ish to ride the seasonal long. Okay, yep. I get what you're saying. The seasonal kicks in now. Is that right? End of the month.
Seasonals, yeah, July, yeah, end of this month. Yeah, we are basically looking at a seasonal long and a really strong one as well.
Okay, that's when Ainsley gets rich every seasonal long in gold.
Yeah,
right. Okay, let's talk about the euro. Now, all you guys should know my stance on the euro, and I think it's in a long-term bull situation. However, today, I don't think that may well be the case. I think we may be looking at some downside. Tough to trade, however, at the moment, because I don't have any strong resistance area that I can call a false break area. And that's, of course, what I'd like to see. Our 30-minute edge has been obliterated. And what I mean by that, those of you who aren't aware, I'm very aware of, oh, look at that, already done. Very aware that we've got strong numbers suggesting that on a daily basis, the daily pivot on euro dollar will be tested. Well, not only has it been tested, it's been retested and now rebroken. So there's just no qualms about even thinking about the daily pivot as support or resistance now. It's done. So you need to gain, I need to gain an overall view of where this is headed. Short term, medium term, long term. Long term, I think it's here. I can't see that not happening. That's 115 area. And longer term, I'm thinking 122. Then I'm thinking 135. Then I'm thinking almost 150. So that's how I see the euro. But really, that's more a reflection on the dollar than it is on the euro itself. But if you look at the dollar, sorry, I'll get there eventually. The dollar index is, of course, a reverse view of what we're looking at on the euro versus dollar. So this is the space underneath this dollar index at the moment. It is at a resistance former resistance, now support level, no question. So I expect the dollar to rally short term, maybe back to the 101 area, maybe even a little higher, which means that the euro, if I go back to the euro, should pull back. How far? Don't know. But that's the thought process that I've got at the moment. As far as being able to trade that at the moment, I could look at this as a false break of the top of the channel. I could do that, in which case today's candle is very, very important. And if it were to be a bull bar, then I've got reason to think underneath there, stop loss maybe above the swing area, and get some profit in the bank at the weekly pivot. Maybe back to here. I'm not 100% sure where I'd like to see that retrace to. Maybe this area, around about 110.50, something like that. So I'm willing to trade it short today. How can I do that? Well, I don't have the right to do it at the moment because I don't have a resistance trade line apart from the smaller time frames that I can actually trust. I think I'd rather bring this down to here, to be fair. In fact, there would probably be better. That's where I'd like to see price get back to, hit this level again, come back underneath there, then retest it. Then I can trade it short. At the moment, that doesn't look likely. So let's shift this down to here and play the same game. So what I'd now like to see, and if I bring in a horizontal level here, maybe there, we're on a 30-minute chart, don't forget. So I don't need to go back too far. Recency is everything on the 30-minute chart. I see that as a nice area, nice support, reasonable support, certainly support through here. So I'd like that level. I'd love to see price get above there, come back underneath and retest that area. Then I've got a short on the hands. As far as a break and retest is concerned, back into this channel here, I don't really see that as applicable because it's already been false broken back into that range. Maybe if this becomes a low, you've got the option of a break and retest. But whatever I think at the moment, this area here is the one that I feel is most important. Maybe this one too. That looks okay as well. So I'm in the right zone is what I'm saying to trade this short. I've just got to wait for an appropriate setup. The reason I like the euro short today, apart from the the dollar index, is on every single pair that I look at. It's already gone on the 4-hour chart on euro versus the Aussie because of the Aussie news, which was what was it called? Employment figures. So that's why we've seen that move against the euro. Not a nice position now because it has gone too far. Euro CAD, also looking for downside. Three Amigos, maybe not so much because there hasn't really been a great false break, but we do have a trade line here that has now been breaking or is now being broken. We'll see how that pans out. If that is broken, maybe you get a close below that low would be good, and then a retest of that trade line. There's an opportunity there on euro versus the CAD. Euro versus the Swissy, as Ash was pointing out earlier, also at a very, very strong area to trade long. I shouldn't say trade long because there's no trade there at the moment, but a little rally followed by a higher low does get me interested. Maybe even a break of resistance and a retest of that produces that higher low. Euro versus the pound already taken off, and this was a weekly game changer bar, if I recall. Yes, it was. Tough to trade, to be honest, because you had high test bar here, low test bar here, but that looks to be on its way. Definitely looking for a pullback now, and what I do see on this one is a little bit contradictory to my thesis. Because, sorry, it's not contradictory to my thesis. It actually plays along with my thesis, which is euro pound short today, because we are at this broadening price pattern. We're at the top of that. We're also at a horizontal level. Resistance over here, support through here, resistance here. So if we can sneak underneath that and retest it, happy days. 4-hour chart. Let me bring that back to TORS. If I had some candles over here, this would look beautiful as a false break of a trend line or a trade line. But as it stands, it looks like a false break of this area here, this horizontal level that I pointed out before on the daily. I think I pointed that out. Yes, there. So I think there's even reason to think you could place this trade now underneath this bar. Where your stop loss goes is the problem. Is it above this bar? Is it above this bar? Good question. I'll leave that in your capable hands, but I think this is a sell today, euro versus the pound. And I think that level, that candle there is interesting. I know where the entry is. My problem is I don't know where the stop loss is. So I'd have to do a bit more work on that. And like I say, I will not be trading full stop today because there's too much going on in my life around the television set. So I won't be...
Is it the pickup of the ashes again today? Is it, mate?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Do you know what I was looking for? I was thinking, well, wasn't this massive break? Why is there a massive break?
When you say 9 days is a massive break, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Between
seems
tests.
like a lot.
Well, they had to go and play golf and relax after
what do they pay for 5 days? Do they?
They do. Yep.
5 on, 9 off. I want a job like that.
Not always. Well, they only had 3 off during the previous 2 tests.
I see.
So now they're stretching that out to give them a bit of a break.
Right.
Probably England's best players needed a rest, mate, I suppose.
Is it 2-1? Is it now?
Yeah, 2-1 to Australia, but England are fighting very, very hard, and I think they can actually be in a very good position to win this test.
Really?
Mm.
Yep. One of those odds after 2-0 down.
Indeed, but yes, that price is now shortened dramatically. I would have thought. So very, very interesting. If you're at all interested in cricket, you would have been enjoying the first 3 tests. Very, very in the.
Well, do you know what? I'm not interested in cricket, but I do actually really like there's some events that I like in every single sport, and the Ashes is definitely one of them when it comes to cricket. And I did now, after speaking to you before about the stuff that went on between the English and the Australians, that I did have a little look into that. I wasn't really sure. I don't know. It's a difficult one because everybody got very emotive and it kind of coloured. Yeah, it kind of coloured what happened a little bit. I think the English reaction was I'm going to say it was a bit silly at best, really. I do think the Aussies probably were a little bit a little bit ungentlemanly, if you like. Maybe you could kind of put it that way. But I think the reaction kind of almost cancelled anything the Aussies did out, really. So they both kind of behaved in a way that probably wasn't particularly sportsmanlike. But then it is, sport is a bit like that, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot of sledging that goes on and all that sort of thing, and
Kick them while
you
they're
kind of want
down,
that.
mongrel dogs, yeah, hit them hard, all that sort of stuff.
It's the same with tennis, mate. I'm not a big tennis fan, but I will watch Wimbledon, and I watched the Wimbledon final. And there was this point where Novak Djokovic lost this point, and he went up to the net post and he whacked it. He whacked his racket against the net post, and everybody started booing. And they sort of talk of him maybe being fined and all this sort of thing, and being warned on the court. And the same thing, I thought the same thing then. I thought, hold on a minute, what's he really done? I mean, I guess they don't want people to do it because somebody could get injured, which has happened. Which I get, totally. If somebody, that sort of thing, you want to sort of get, you don't want to kind of encourage it, but it was a bit like the kind of McEnroe thing. Why can't these guys express a bit of personality and a bit of emotion when they're losing in the biggest game of their life?
To be honest, I thought McEnroe was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I think you need a bit of it. It was like Ali. Ali was a big mouth and he was a talker, but if without him, it wouldn't have made any of the fights anywhere near as interesting.
Yeah, that's the spice, doesn't it? The spice that you require. Yeah. I agree.
I don't know why we all kind of want to just sit back and watch something just being played at a nice gentle. I mean, it's not gentle. I suppose that's the point, and that's the thing about sport. It's obviously these guys get paid a lot of money, but you don't want them to be in it for the money. You want them to be in it because they care. And when they express sort of like, losing as something that really bothers them, everybody's up in arms about it, So there's been a bit of a backlash for Djokovic. I think it's the first time that I saw him, I thought, actually, I could warm to him. I find him quite mechanical, so I don't like to watch him play. But actually sort of seeing him lose it a bit, it's a bit, it makes the game a lot more interesting.
He's absolutely polarizing, Djokovic.
Yeah.
But you got to hand it to him. He's one of the best of all time, if not the best of all time.
Well, I mean, his record suggests he's the best of all time. I think the thing is, you see, without the likes of Djokovic or somebody expressing some emotion, then you can't then really kind of enjoy the ones that are quite elegant and like Federer. I mean, he's had his odd moments, but he was quite elegant and he's quite reserved on the court. You can't really enjoy those guys so much if you don't have somebody on the other side of it. There's got to be sort of a bit of yin and yang really to appreciate the others. You don't want everybody to be doing the same thing. Makes sport very boring.
It'll be very bland. Yes,
very bland. Yeah. So I like Wimbledon. I like the Ashes. I like the Ryder Cup in golf. But aside from that, I'm not really interested in those sports.
There you go. But at least you've got an interest in the ones that count.
Yeah.
Lewis, the Ryder Cup. Three more. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I agree. 3 more weeks. What's 3 more weeks, Lewis? What happens in 3 weeks? Am I missing something?
3 more weeks for the Ashes, is it?
Yes, that would be. No, there's only 1 more after this, so not sure. So anyway, Euro pound, I think, to sell. Sorry, you go. What was that? Oh, EPL. Right. Okay.
Yeah. Do you know, interesting with the Euro pound? Europe posted numbers yesterday. Core CPI at 5.5% from 5.3. So they didn't enjoy the same decline in inflation that the UK did, even though the numbers in the UK are still elevated. There was a genuine decline, and I suppose a little bit of hope that that things have maybe changing a bit. And if we think about what makes these currencies where they are, it's about the price that the fair value. Where's fair value with where we are? And I suppose the interesting thing about this one is that with the euro showing core, I mean, to be fair, the CPI number did come down from 6.1 to 5.5, but the core number was still up. So the euro is sort of showing some inflation data, which is a bit more sticky. The pound is showing some inflation data, which is coming down. Is this fair value, I suppose, is my point. After the explosive move in to the upside against the euro pound, does this become fair value with our current scenario and situation? Which is why, you know, any moves to the downside with the euro at this stage, euro pound, I would have thought would be bought up, because the pound, maybe not against this, but against many other currencies, has had an explosive move higher.
Oh, it
And one of the reasons,
has.
yeah, and it's because back in June, even a month ago, they were talking about a 6.5% rate next year. Now, yesterday, they're talking about a 5.5% rate from the Bank of England. So we've got a 1% decline in expectation. Now, how does that filter through to the charts? You know, I know you're always comparing it. So what is everybody else? Where's everybody else, and what they're doing as well? But you know, how that filters through to the charts, I think, becomes, you know, really the question when we're looking at this stuff.
Yeah, well, that's how we make our money. Yes, 100%.
Yeah. And you know, that I don't know whether that would change your thinking of a euro pound, or whether, you know, you would still sort of take the technical thing and just aim for a bit, see if it would come down. Or
yeah, look, my whole thing is always market structure, and when I see market structure as clear as this, there's only one way I can think.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean I go in at the market.
Yeah.
So I give the market a chance to prove me wrong.
Yeah,
in terms of directional bias, right?
Yeah.
And that's my whole system. It's all about getting short here, because here the bulls are wrong.
Yes.
It's not getting short here.
Yeah.
Because the bulls can still be right here.
Yeah.
But they can't be right here, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah.
So that that's the whole key to it.
I'm with you, mate. I'm with you. So really, we're looking at you know, some difficult really today with the dollar, isn't it? You know, I know you're not interested in trading today because of the sporting extravaganza, but it's a difficult one with the dollar, because the dollar could well push further lower, but it may not be today. Jobs data has been sticky, and we've seen it from Australia, and we have been seeing it in the States as well. No reason really to suggest that all of a sudden that the United States are going to be posting weaker jobs numbers. It could definitely happen, because this is the sort of environment we're in. But it might be that the trend is going to change, and we do see sort of like lower jobs numbers. But that's the one area of the economic data that seems to have held up, which could strengthen the dollar today.
Yep. I told my guys this morning that I wouldn't be trading this slingshot pattern short pound Aussie. And this is news driven, so you know it's an impulse at the moment, or emotive move at the moment, but it does look to have retested this level that I spoke about this morning to my guys. And the four amigos sitting here gives me the idea that we're going to break this level here and maybe go to here.
Tell you, mate, lots of head and shoulders patterns forming with the pound.
Yep, it's there. Yep.
You know, and as I say, you know,
nice.
Well, but the value of the pound, and this is where we're sort of looking. You know, when you look at this, the value of the pound is all the speculation of action now from the central bank in the United Kingdom is a 1% change to the downside. Now, I suppose it's always difficult to know where to calculate the currency correction would go because of that, because you don't know how much has been priced in, you don't know how much has been moved already. Lots of different things, you know, on it. But I would have thought that the pound has probably got some. It may well over the coming weeks be one of the weaker currencies because of how keen people were to buy it up after the last print of inflation.
Yeah, look, couldn't agree with you more. It's overbought, so just makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Sorry, Phil. I know Phil's in the room. Did you have anything to add today, Phil? I suppose you would have spoken up if there was something important. Are we looking for our next time by degrees day?
Yeah, we can.
Which I think is Monday. Another Monday. Just another oh, hang on.
I'm glad you remembered, mate. I'll totally forgot.
I only had to get one more word out and we were gone, you know.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, you had the wrong word, so we're okay.
I can't share my screen yet, Jeff.
Oh, sorry, mate. Let me fix that. There we go. Man, I feel like I should be trading today, Ash. I've just given about three different scenarios that look good.
I know there's some movement today. I mean, this is the thing you see. I mean, we're waiting for current account in Europe's just been posted at 9.1 billion from 4 billion. Negative current. Okay, hold on a second. Might see some movement in that euro pound. Oh yeah, big drop actually. Yeah, you might be on for a bit of a euro pound, mate. Short term move anyway.
Oh, don't tell me that.
Let's have a look.
I'll look tomorrow and see how much I have to cry.
Oh, don't you be crying too much.
Phil.
Yeah, well, that's the points we looked at. So I'd pick the turn on the 7th here.
This is the FTSE, right? Yeah.
That's the FTSE, yep. And then the 17th was the target we were looking for, which Ash mentioned earlier. And obviously it turned it on that day. We did say at the time that it was only not that strong. But anyway, it turned it there temporarily, and then away it's gone again. And the target next one is for project the 15 degrees from the low on the 17th. And we come out about on the second time by degrees is the 1st of August. And it happens to line up with the second. Sorry?
That's the horse's birthday.
It is. And
you can't say no to that one.
That's right. Yeah.
Phil, nothing on the 24th with a change of when we get a zero on the 24th.
I think I looked at that, didn't I? I think that.
I'm pretty sure you did mention the 24th, which is Monday.
No, I mean, I think I looked at it as far as actually finding a date with it, like if it actually worked. 24th. I can have a quick look.
That's when that's the next 0 degree level.
Yeah, and that's it there.
Got it.
And I couldn't get anything to line up with that very well.
I see. Oh, interesting, mate. That's interesting. Okay.
There's a weekend.
I mean,
well, that does. Maybe I've missed it. Just give me a second. I'll run back this way because it's quicker. That's all.
Yeah, no worries.
No, that's what I remember now. No, they don't. So that's 30 degrees will be there. So it's in the middle of this range.
Yeah.
And I think from memory, yeah, the 40, well, the 45, so that must be a half cycle. Maybe that's why it's not going to work. Oh, yeah. It's just kind of wishy-washy. See, there's like a double top there, look.
Yeah.
So that makes it a bit difficult. There's 90. Well, it's not. Yeah, it's not out of range actually. It's probably just going to be a minor turn, I guess. Maybe. Yeah, no, it is a valid date, Ash, I'd say.
Okay. Yep. Okay. All right. We'll look out for that then. So Monday.
20. And then, but the second, it's the 30, the 60, the 45, the short term ones. It's a lot stronger, probably. Right. But I think it's still going to be going like it. Yeah, there's nothing real super strong. That's all. just mucking about.
So,
really.
Phil, just to explain, and for those people who are looking at this and going, what the hell is he doing? All of those green numbers that you've got there are projections back into the past that suggest that this day, which is the 2nd or 1st of August or whatever it was,
Yeah, 2nd, yep.
they're all lining up to suggest that that day something will happen, like there'll be a change of direction, perhaps.
Yeah, that's correct. So the 30
The same
degrees,
as the red ones did, the same as the blue ones did. And that's
they
what
all
you're
go
looking
back.
for. You're looking for that confluence of all of those time frames or all of
That's
those
correct.
degrees
So the
lining
30
up
degree,
at that one spot.
Yeah, from the 2nd comes back to this high on the chart here, look. That line, that's 30 degrees to the, what did we decide, the 2nd, didn't we? So the 2nd, there's the line. So it's a day out as usual, or you know, within tolerance. So that lines up here with the high there. The 45 degrees is sort of a half cycle, but in this case, it lines up nicely with the, that's a pretty good high, you see. That's why I like the 2nd's a lot stronger than the 14th, the 24th, I should say. And then the 60 degree. So this is the 60. Actually, that's the 60 I just looked at, wasn't it? 60, 44. That's the 30. That's the 45, yep. And this one's a 60.
Yep.
Yeah,
And they're
there's
all lining
the
up with turning points, right? Or
that
swings,
lines up with that,
as most
that
people
low
would
there.
put them.
Yep, perfectly. That's a good strong. So it's a good strong low. It's had a good run down to there. That's had a nice run up to there. It stands out as an obvious high, you see. And then here we got the 90 degrees. Which color? What color were we looking at? Blue. We want, don't we? Green, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, down the bottom.
Yep.
Yep. And yeah, there's 90 degrees there. There must have been a holiday or something there. So that's a good strong day. So, and then, but in the longer time frames, so the 120 over here, that's not strong. You see, it's in the middle of a run. So you wouldn't place as much value on that. The further away the time frames are, the more influence they have on the chart, the more its chances are it's going to be a strong stop turn. There's 180 degrees there, which is a really strong time frame, but it's in the middle of nowhere. So further out, that means it's not going to be a huge, strong turn. It'll just be another correction or whatever, short-term correction. So it's going to be no major.
All right. So if you can find a reason, guys, to maybe trade a retracement using your own systems, maybe that's a good day to watch out for.
Yeah, well, that's the I guess I haven't put that across very well. That's the whole idea. I can just give the times, because as you can see, every time we look at this, it just tells you, well, have we missed any yet? I don't think we have we? Actually, they've turned so nearly every time, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's been very accurate for the FTSE.
I'll show you a good example of, if you've got a few minutes. This was a trade I took on, actually, should be the update for this. You may or may not remember. I suppose somebody will, hopefully. I was trading this S32 chart, which is a commodity thing like BHP. And over here, I made a statement that this would run down for a couple of days. And I figured the first stop, the first point it would turn, the range I gave it to run to was that particular point there, which is $3.64. Was that the one, Jeff? I think that was the one.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep, that was the one. But I honestly expected.
Here's Lewis. We'll catch you later, buddy.
See you, buddy.
See you in a couple of weeks. Sorry, man.
You're right. No, I think I might have been that one, Jeff, actually. And I expected it to go to 374 in a couple of days. Well, it did that bang in one day, but it hit the range spot on, but it looked like it was going to reverse there. So I anyway, it was a good jump. So obviously it was going to keep going down. So I stuck in the trade, and then it gapped down again. And so that was even though it made my range there, it made the 2-day prediction to there. So then I was getting really wary about the bottom. But anyway, I stuck through that, having faith in time by degrees, and you can see what happened. And then the range on that, which I can't remember, but if you look across the chart, I think it's if you look across here somewhere, wherever it comes, there's a resistance there. Across here, look. So it's what are we there roughly, Jeff? About 364?
Something like that, yep.
So, and that came down to, so 364 was about here. And there's a strong price resistance on the chart over there. And when it got to there, that's starting to break my rules. So I got out. I want to preserve capital at all costs at the moment because I can use it for something else, another trade. So when it broke 364, I just simply bailed out and took a loss. That's the first time I've taken a loss like that for a long time. But of course, with hindsight, what I've realised has happened is because this was a really nice, strong run down, all they've done is gone stop hunting, you see, knowing that people will be starting to feel the pinch there. And I should have stuck with it because it did exactly what time by degrees said it was going to do. And there is the second time by degrees, which I hadn't worked out at this stage because I was still working off this one. And there's the next time by degrees. And it worked out fine.
Yep.
So that's a classic example where if I'd have had more faith in what I was doing, and there's that lined up there nicely, that lined up there beautifully at the top of there, or halfway up the range, and then there's a change in direction there. Like all of that was really good, but I said I hadn't done this range. So you've got to be really careful in these fast moving charts that you can get, like I just got caught. I mean, it got outside my rules, but if I'd have been a bit smarter about it, I could have worked out why, and I would have been still in the trade. We would have reversed there, you see. Instead of getting out, I should have just reversed, and away it went again. And it ran right up into time by degrees, look. Right up there, bang on, time by degrees. There's the green, all the green lines, spot on. You can't get it any better than that.
No, that's pretty cool. All right, mate. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Phil.
You're welcome.
That's very, very good. We're on holidays.
Enjoy your sport.
Oh, I'll do that. Man, can you imagine? I can have a few white wines, a few red wines. By that
Unusual
time,
day.
Test.
The cricket leaves me cold, but I can watch the golf and the yacht racing all day.
Well, you also got the golf. What else is there? The football. World Cup.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
I live next door to a golf club, so I get
I used to.
The crows go over to the golf club and pinch the balls and bring them over to my place and drop them. I've got buckets and buckets full of golf balls here.
Nice. When I was playing golf 4 days a week, and I used to run a golf club, right? Remember? And I'd get there about 9 in the morning and leave there about 1 in the morning, 4 or 5 days a week. Whew, boy, oh boy, it was a tough life. Yeah. Somebody had to do it, however.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this up and get the heck out of here and have a holiday. Ash, enjoy it, mate.
Thank you, buddy. You too.
You're home this week and away the next one, right?
I go to Greece on Friday, week tomorrow.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful time, and let's catch up on Monday the 7th, or maybe before. We might have a chat. I don't know. We'll see.
Amazing, mate. All right. Good to speak to you as always.
You too. Thank you, Phil, for popping in. Thank you all for being our trading buddies for the day. And if you're not having a break from the charts, those of you in my Slingshot Ultimate group, I'll still be around doing my usual stuff. And we'll be back with Trading Buddies, as I say, on the 7th of next month. Thanks for being our Trading Buddies. See you later. Bye-bye for now.